Development Bank is well situated in Nigeria, so we have the Chief Country Portfolio and Operations Director with us here in the studio to discuss strategic engagement of this DFI with the most populous country on the African continent and the largest by GDP. Let's bring in Ando Mensah into the conversation. Good morning. It's good to have you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yes, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to ask for an update on what that $1 billion loan about a year ago that Nigeria requested from your bank or from the AFDB group. What has been done so far and where are we at the moment?
Good. First of all, thank you for having me. Just a minor correction. I'm the Chief Country Portfolio Officer, not Director. I want to clear that up. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The bank is a strong partner to Nigeria. Last year, the bank disbursed some $600 million out of the $1 billion that was requested as budget support, policy budget support. The second tranche, of course, was to be disbursed, or is to be disbursed, based on certain criteria that the government has to meet, some certain trigger points the government has to meet. And those, we understand, they're still looking at.
When you look at Nigeria, you sit down here in Nigeria every day anyway, so yes. You're part and parcel of us here. What do you see every day so far over the last 1 year in terms of fiscal reforms, in terms of strategic turnaround that you would look at from a DFI point of view as a lender to a borrower who is a sovereign?
Thank you. We commend the government a lot for taking some bold steps. We have seen quite a lot of change as opposed to the time when the recession was really in the economy. There's been a lot of progress. There's been changes in the forex area. We see that growth is forecasted to change from 0.8 up to some positive number very soon. So we commend the government very, very well for the reforms that it has embarked on. We do believe that there has to be, the momentum has to continue. For instance, there's still challenges in the areas of revenue generation. There's still challenges in other areas where we believe the government can do a lot more in terms of bringing revenues up to speed and also reining down inflation and all those other aspects that really touches the economy.
AFDB is doing business in and with Nigeria, not as a trader, but as a lender. And so what's it like from, I'll use this phrase very carefully, from a political engagement point of view, trying to get government agencies and officials to listen to policy advice, technical support that you want to provide to see the country succeed?
Right. The African Development Bank is a demand-driven institution. We're not a supply-driven institution. And I think on that platform, we have a very robust dialogue, consultation process with the government. We have a regular consultation process that we do with them. Just yesterday, I personally had been to the Ministry of Finance to discuss a number of issues, including progress in our projects and how better we can implement them. I think that relationship is very strong. We intend to solidify that and even scale that up pretty much. Yeah.
You're in charge of portfolio. In other words, that's portfolio investments, technically speaking. So you're the one who watch where the money goes.
Yes.
And see where the returns is coming back. And, of course, to make sure that the output, the money outflows come back to the kitty so you can continue lending. You're the one who balanced the books, as it were. So you did the Niger bond for the marketplace. From portfolio point of view, what strategic engagement is currently going on? What interventions are going on? What more would you like to see?
Absolutely. Well, the bank is it's a strong partner of Nigeria. We are working closely with the government. We support the government's intentions, and we're looking to support the government in priority areas. For instance, in the power and energy sector, we have together working jointly with the Minister and Ministry of Power, jointly with the Ministry of Finance, looking to support the country in investments in power, investments in renewable energy, investments in areas which will really bring efficiencies and productivity to the country. I think these areas and many other areas, including transport, including education, including private sector, agriculture, agribusiness especially. The African Development Bank has 5 key priorities, the high fives. Power and agriculture being the number 1 and number 2. We're looking to work with the government to ensure that power and energy is restored in the country. Agribusiness, which is really a very strong area in which the country can really diversify into, is taking a good look at. And these are some of the areas we're having dialogue with the country.
As the Nigerian authorities broach the subject of a national airline with the AFDB, if yes, what's the discussion like?
We haven't had that discussion. The African Development Bank is, again, I insist, a strong partner. Aviation is a very important sector. Aviation is a job creator. Aviation area supports productivity and a lot of business. I think the bank is very interested in a framework. The aviation sector, as you know, is heavily regulated. And difficult agreements have basically, as the president said yesterday, has really, stalled a lot of the progress that aviation aviation sector or the markets can actually contribute to an economy like Nigeria. So the bank is, interested in a framework supporting technical assistance, supporting the member countries to basically look at these kind of areas to make sure there is efficiencies, there is cost, control, so that you have a market in that aviation sector that is contributing strongly to an economy that is in growth mode like Nigeria.